So I thought I'd give it a go. So this is my attempt to time-lapse to do all the rides in both parks in one day. So very important, I've entered in Magic Hour. As you can see, the park is very quiet at this moment in time, down Main Street there. Unlikely you'll ever see Main Street that quiet. People ahead of me were quite slow getting themselves together, so some people did get ahead of me. But I've decided to start off in the main Disneyland Paris park, and I've gone straight to the Peter Pan's Flight ride. I don't rate this ride very highly. I don't think it's a great ride. It's quite jerky as you go along in the pirate ship, the floating pirate ship. But usually this ride is up there at 45 minutes to an hour. As you can see, I walked straight on, and that ride is done. Next, one of my favourites in the whole park, it's the Dumbo ride. Not exactly a thrill ride, but this ride, a strange one. You can get on, walk on, 5 minutes, wait, up to 45. I've also seen an hour on this ride at the weekend, so not ideal for such a short ride, but good ride nevertheless. As you can see as well in one of my other videos, the views you get on the Dumbo ride are quite spectacular, probably the best in the park. So straight along, I've decided to walk back through the castle and down, trying to get as many of the longer queued rides as possible when the parks open. So on Magic Hour, so I've gone on to Hyperspace Mountain. Usually this one is between 20 minutes and an hour wait. The walk is long, as you can see, so they are expecting to have big queues. They don't like you taking videos on this ride, so for the couple of seconds in this time lapse it's black, but I am on the ride just now. Again, one of my favourites, probably the better thrill rides. Star Wars theme now, as the ride as Disney bought the Star Wars franchise. Walking along now, another one that takes time, Buzz Lightyear. Again, a favourite for most people. It's a laser gun shooting ride through, or to battle Zorg, Buzz Lightyear's nemesis. Jumping on, my score in this isn't very good. And this one I'm concentrating on other things rather than shooting. There is allegedly a badge you can get if you get, I think it's 1,000,000 points. At the moment I've got, what, 12,000, so nowhere near. I think the only way you can get 1,000,000 is if the ride actually stops and you're near one of the high scoring purple squares. So the shop back out. I was attempting to go onto Autopia, realised that wasn't open at that moment in time, so I go in Orbitron. Just missed that ride there, so you can see that some of the carts were empty, but on this time. Quite a good fun, this one actually. Another take on a up and down ride, like a Dumbo ride, but it tilts as well, so it is quite good fun as you go up and down. Again, this ride, it could be anywhere between 20 minutes and 45, but usually it's about 5 minute wait. Nobody really thinks much of it, clearly. So then I went across back to the castle again. It seems to be the focal point of everything that you do within the park, and rightfully so. Onto the Snow White ride. Again, I think this ride is rubbish. Usually it's a half-hour plus wait for it, and it just tells the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Again, not really one for me, but to tick off all the rides in the park, it's one that I had to do, and again, I've just done it very, very quickly. So now back through the castle again, and it's around about 9:30 now. Just let me look at some of the things. So through the arcades, which is usually going to be a lot quieter than walking up the main streets of the park, and I'm going out now to attempt to get onto Walt Disney Studios. The major queues here are for some of the more thrill rides. I always find, because this park is smaller and the queues are bigger, the waiting time is obviously longer as well. Again, people ahead of me weren't really being all that efficient at getting into the park, so I'm wasting time here as everyone else seemed to be getting through. In and out, straight into the massive queue for Crush's Coaster. This queue was around about an hour and a half, but probably at this moment in time the best ride in the park. Obviously, with the Marvels part of Walt Disney Studios opening in July 2022. My old favourite ride, the Aerosmith roller coaster, which had been reimagined into Iron Man, I believe, and a brand new ride, Spider-Man, will probably usurp this as my favourite ride in the parks. But this one here is it's good fun. But the queue is always going to be an hour plus. I've seen it quite bad. I've seen it at 2 hours 15 before. There is a game that you can play. I'm led to believe the game is only available if you're on Disneyland Paris Wi-Fi, which isn't the fastest, and it's a Crush's Coaster game where you're playing as Crush or Squirt, and you're going about trying to pick up coins and not get hit by jellyfish. I don't know why they don't show you it earlier on, but I think this is a different queuing system for some reason at the moment, which takes you behind the flying carpets, the Aladdin ride, which is just there on the left. This moment in time, you're thinking, oh, I'm getting closer. You're not. You've still got about another hour from this part in the queue as it snakes about, and you get in underneath the side portion of the ride. It's round about here in one of the barriers that the sign up for that Crush's Coasters game. The Paris Extreme's up. COVID was just on its way out, or the restrictions were just on their way out whenever I was there in March 2022, so these barriers were still up at that moment in time. There's some facts about conservation are up on the boards around about this queuing system, and again, you think that you're going to get on the ride when you enter into the building, which is still probably about another half hour away from this point, but you're not. You're still going to go up and round. But inside, as you'll see when we get inside, theming's very, very good. Obviously with that time lapse there's no sound I've put on, but you get the two seagulls saying mate, 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 mate. If you know Finding Nemo, the movie Finding Nemo, then you'll know those seagulls and their annoying but fun tones. So getting closer to going inside now. I say sometimes if time lapse was real life when you're waiting in queues, it might be a win, but being in the queue probably at this point around about an hour, just before we enter inside the building, and still got another about half hour when you enter the building as well. So the premise of Crush's Coaster, you're in a spinning turtle shell, and again, if you've seen the movie Finding Nemo, I think it's to reminisce the ride with the turtles as they're going through they called it the Australian highway, possibly, or something. But anyway, we're inside now. Theming great inside. You can see our turtle shells spinning around, and the seagulls, and you hear their noise as well. And it's in just like a dock from Finding Nemo. So the carts are supposed to continuously move, so as you get down the stairs, get yourself ready, because you'll just be walking onto the moving cart, jumping in, putting your bags by your feet if you've got them, and then pulling your lap rest down before you start on the ride. It's good fun. It's got an accelerator on it as you go up and round. You've got Bruce the shark and his friends as well, and they smell blood. So there we go, up we go, down, little pop out to the light. Low lights, it's all inside, all dark, which is why the my GoPro and time lapse aren't really showing very much. But there we go, ride's finished, and out we go down to Slinky Dog. I picked the timings wrong for this. This is probably the longest wait I've ever had for a Slinky Dog. The thought was in my head to go straight onto it. Had about a half-hour wait here. Usually it's a walk-on. It's a short ride and it's high capacity, so I just timed this one wrong. But had a plan in my head how to do the park in a day, and this was next on my list, so I just thought I better go for it and wait in the queue. Quite good fun. It spins around. The ride itself, I think, has been is a roller coaster. The Slinky Dog is a roller coaster in Orlando, but I say it doesn't last very long. This one, you go on, you sit down, lap belt down, everybody gets on, and it really just spins around, up and down. There you go, up and down in a circle. Quite good fun. If it's 5 minutes, great. If it's half an hour, not so great in the queue. And you can see, very short ride. Off and into RC Racer. This is a great ride. There is single rider, which takes about 10 minutes, but because it's relatively low capacity on the ride, and I'm trying to do the park in a full day, with if you were like more than one of you, I didn't go single rider for any of the rides, so I waited in this queue. Took about 45 minutes, which I think is standard for this ride most of the time. 25 to an hour is kind of what I've seen on the waiting times. It's such a short ride, but I say low capacity, and there's only one cart that goes up and down, as you'll see. So that's why it takes so long. And it's really not the passenger numbers that we're waiting for. Really don't like you filming on this ride. I had zipped up my jacket because I couldn't get my GoPro off my chest. I'm wearing the GoPro on my chest as we walk around the park. I tightened the bolt on it too much, so I couldn't get it off, and so I had to zip my jacket up so it'll go dark for a couple of seconds while we're doing this time lapse as we're on the ride. But also the girl that spoke to me wanted me to take my GoPro off after the harness had come down and locked me into place, which I told her was impossible. And then I couldn't get the bolt off, and I got told off at the end of the ride for filming whilst on the ride, even though my jacket was zipped up. So really don't like you filming on this ride. We're getting close to the start now. So it's RC Racer from Toy Story, and he just goes up and down this track. Quite good. Better at the front or the back of the car, but there wasn't an option for the front or the back, so you just kind of get given what you're given. You can see I've set myself up, and I still get told off by the guy for filming, so can't win. Up and along. Next, this is a newish part of the park, Reimagined Cars. Right through, it used to be the backlot tour, which was always a walk-on. This generally is a walk-on as well. They think there's 2 buses that go around. Again, high capacity, relatively short rides, and quite good fun. They've got Lightning McQueen, Mater, Sally, Guido, Luigi, and I'm struggling for the rest. Doc, Red, rest of the characters from the movie Cars. And it's a bus ride. It goes round, shows you some of the guys, Lightning McQueen, Guido, is it Giuseppe? Maybe not Luigi. And then up to the canyon, and the canyon, it rocks, water comes down, bit of flames, and away we go. And that's the highlight of the ride. Other side, you've got Mater and his junk Eiffel Tower, and then that's it, done. Off we go. There's a little car there as well of the catering truck, and the food out there is great. So Ratatouille is down there. I decided against that at that moment in time. Back to, in my mind, the worst ride in both the parks. Not the actual fun factor of it, but because this queue is always 45 minutes plus. I've never seen it less than 45 minutes, and I just don't think the ride is all that special. It does have single rider again. I waited in the queue to try and have a more realistic idea for everyone how many rides you get done in a day at the park. And it's really just the wait time in this that takes away all the fun and enjoyment from it. So it's again Toy Story themed. It's the little plastic army men and their parachute drop, again from Toy Story. The old toys that you used to get, little plastic soldier, strings, and you could throw them out a window and their parachute would open and float down. I had lots of them. They were always disposable toys whenever I was a wee fella. And again, Toy Story, great movie. Probably of people for a certain age get more of the ideas of the toys that maybe we had when we were growing up. So the wee guy in front of me was getting really, really bored with the waiting time as well. But I'm sure he had a great time whilst on the ride. That kind of age, I would say, like a junior Tower of Terror, which we'll go on to later on. So the parachute takes you up and it drops you down, and takes you up and it drops you down, and then up and down and up and down. Again, I think it's quite tame, and I think the waiting time is far too long for the rides. So many better rides in the parks with less queuing time. So it's one that I personally would miss if I wasn't trying to do all the rides in the park. But it's one we have to do. So we're almost there at the front. This took about 45 minutes, the queue. And up there's some cartoons just showing you what's going to happen on the ride. So in a holding pen, there you go, up, down, up, down, up, down. And the parachutes, well themed to be fair. The whole Toy Story land is well themed. But on we go. And bars down, which get everyone into place. Everyone's legs just going up and down, waiting for it to start. There we go, up and down. Good views of the park, but that's it. Quick, and off we go. Well, having had that experience in my head now, I decided that I wanted to go into Ratatouille. Again, from the movie Ratatouille. This is a great ride. So many different things for so many different ages. Queue times, again, there's a single rider in this, there's a fast track in this. Single rider is usually a walk on, about 5 to 10 minutes. Queues, 20 minutes to 40 minutes standards. I have seen an hour and a half in the queue. But the nicety about this is once you get inside, there's two different ways. There's a quick way and a long way. The long way takes you in past like the Paris city scene, really, and it's really, really well themed when you get inside, so the queue time isn't such a waste. The music is really nice as well, and you get gusto and some fun bits as well. And there we go, just going inside now, there's gustos and it's like a Paris skyline as we go in. You get glasses in this one to put on. It's a the 3D glasses. I think this class is a maybe 5D ride. It's got smells and a bit of heat comes in as well. So the premise is that you are one of Remy's, the rat's friends, and you're scuttling about Gusto's restaurant, trying to keep yourself away from Skinner, who has found you and trying to get you. It really just follows the movie as it goes through. So here we go through, and you might see just some of the movie as well, and you're going through some sort of fixed bits as well as having the screen, so you go into different scenes as you flick yourself through the movie effectively. And out we come back into the light again. All little food stands there, they're really quite nice. Decent sized portions, decent price as well for being in the park. Next up, Tower of Terror. I don't think I like this ride very much. I don't know why I like my thrill rides. This one here is a good ride, but it's not really for me. In America, the Tower of Terror rides have been reimagined into Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm led to believe. This one here, again, the premise of it is, I think it's Twilight Zone Tower of Terror it's called. So if you remember from the past, old TV program, The Tower of Terror. And this story is that it was a amazing hotel in the 30s, I think, and it was hit by lightning one day, and some of the guests had turned into ghosts, and the lift has malfunctioned, and you get thrown up and down in this lift with the ghosts talking to you in and out. Well themed for a creepy old abandoned hotel. As you get inside, so the outside bit took maybe 20 minutes, half an hour at this moment in time, and then once you get in, maybe another 20 minutes to half an hour. One of the favourites in the park, I think. Ride times, I mean, I've seen this as a 5-minute, 10-minute walk on. I think historically it has had single rider, so it doesn't have single rider, it's got fast pass, but at this moment in time there was no single rider available if it even had that. So inside the hotel now, you go through this bit and you get put into another holding pen where it starts the story about the hotel and why the lift has gone a little bit haywire, and then you go through to the back of the hotel. So the maintenance area, it's a maintenance lift that's broken, and you go through the back again. Let's say well themed, may well be better or more apt with the Guardians of the Galaxy, but I quite like the theming. The ride itself for me, I don't know why. It should be fun, it should be something that I like, but I don't tend to go on this one very much when I'm in the park. For example, the girl that was sat next to me in this ride here didn't handle it all that well, and she was in tears at the end of the ride, poor girl, and she apologised to me for screaming in my ear for most of it, but I suppose that's part of the fun. But yeah, I don't think I should be going on that one again, and I generally go on this maybe once when I'm at the park, just to say, yeah, I've done it, it's a good ride, I should like it, and maybe I'm trying to get myself more enjoyment out of it by going on it more and more, but still not one of my favourites in the park. Good views when you get to the top, however, you can see right over Walt Disney Studios, but always a joy to get off of it. Straight into the gift shop at the end and background. Not much more left in Walt Disney Studios to do. This is a great little ride. Really is meant for kids. It's a Cars themed rides, life size, I suppose, models of Mater and Lightning McQueen as we get into the rides. And you sit in one of the cars and they spin around and throw you about a little bit. I quite like it. I've seen this queue for an hour, but generally 5 to 10 minutes is all that it takes. Decent capacity, generally not big queues, and quite a quick ride. And if you have seen Cars as you're walking at the start of the queue, there's the Piston Cup, so one for the photos. Not great wearing the camera on my chest for this ride. The ride is on another one of my videos on my channel, but out we go, all done. And another general, it's a walk-on ride, Aladdin's Flying Carpets. Just the Dumbo ride again, up and down with a little button just in front of you. The difference in this one is that the front carriage goes up and down, and the back carriage, the little button turns you from side to side. So if you're by yourself like me, all you can do is go up and down, but the back carriage will sweep you from left to right as well. But yeah, usually just a walk-on ride, not that popular. Monsters Inc.'s here, there's a little screamer meter, and there is Sully and Mike statues, but no rides. So back out of Walt Disney Studios, all the rides there have been done, and back into the main park. That was the 30th sign there, back through one of the 30th anniversary sign, back through one of the arcades, missing the queues, and in to do. So right, this park is part of the park now. So the haunted house, the mansion, usually it's a walk-on ride, high capacity ride. You get a wee bit of a story as well, so the ride starts a wee bit earlier as you get lowered down to the start of the ride. There's a story why this was a haunted house. Again, I just seem to have picked this wrong. I've never had to queue for this. This is about a 20-minute wait, but plan in mind, and I had to stick to it, so I'm sticking to it. But once you get in, the ride kind of starts. Once you get into the house, the ride kind of starts. So that helps. It takes quite long. This is about a 10-minute long ride from start to finish. As haunted, I think it's called the Haunted Manor. As haunted houses go, this is an epic one. Quite noisy in parts, a wee bit creepy in parts, probably not for younger children. And the animatronics on it are maybe a little bit dated, but fun nevertheless. Dark as well, which is why my GoPro's picking up the odd light here and there, but not much else. So you sit in a little cart, and it just takes you through the mansion, and there's some ghosts about, and then you go down into, I suppose, the underworld, where there's more skeletons and ghosts. But out we come. The paddle steamer wasn't working, which would be to the left there. When I was there, there's 2 boats, I think, that go around. Nice just for a chill out, just to think about things, and to get away from the busyness of the park. But I've gone in here just so we've done everything. This was awful. It was little dioramas of Aladdin. Never been in it before. It's classed as a ride. I don't think it is a ride, but it's in and out, no queuing, and I need a juice at this point, so I bought a juice, and out we go. Next on the list, I got a little bit lost here, but next on the list, Pirates of the Caribbean, one of my favourites in the park. Pirates of the Caribbean, the movie, was made from the idea of Pirates of the Caribbean in the American parks, and then the Pirates of the Caribbean rides were updated so that you've got Jack Sparrow, and in this one you've got Davy Jones as part of it. Queue for this one, generally 15 minutes to half an hour. Again, I've timed this one wrong. I think this was 20 minutes. The boats seem to, or the ride itself seems to break more often than not. That's not fair. It's I've seen it shut for about 3/4 of a day once when I was there, and it's shut for about once every day. Something goes amiss with it, but obviously safety first. It was a bit of an older ride, but it's good. Couple of drops in it. Again, animatronics in all the characters, quite good, quite dated as well, I presume, but it's a good ride. So 2 drops. The first drop seems to be, you think it's going to be, you get pulled up quite a lot, so you think it's going to be a bigger drop than it actually is, but I think the second drop is the photo opportunity drop, the second one. So back through now, I'm finding my way to Indiana Jones ride. This is out away by itself, which means that you kind of got to know that it exists to find it. And the queue times 5 to 30 minutes on it. Really didn't want me to film on this ride as well, which is why I've zipped up on it. First time I went on this ride, I got very, very minor whiplash on it as it spun me about and threw me about the place. It was then shut for about a year while they supposed to make it a smoother ride. It was smoother, it was still quite violent as you get thrown about. Good fun, however, and wait times not great because I don't think many people know about it. Next, the runaway train. As runaway trains go, this is well themed, Wild West theming, and quite a long ride as well. Fast, good fun. Queue times generally anywhere between 10 minutes to an hour. The queue will split in half as we get a wee bit closer here, so you can pick left or right. I've picked both ways, and you think that you're ahead, and then you see you've picked somebody in the other queue that you're spying on, see where they go. You think you're ahead, you think you're miles ahead, and all of a sudden you see them zoom past you, and you think, oh, where they've gone, must be on the ride already, I've made the wrong choice, and then you catch up with them. So I think generally both queues are exactly the same length, but it weaves in and out. This was quite a long wait when I was there. There's 2 trains on that come in, and they get set off. There's only 1 track, but the two trains will eventually go into the same track before the ride starts, and they'll shut 1 train down close to the end of the day, or 1 track down close to the end of the day, so just have the trains coming in onto 1 track. I think on the height of the day, so the ride is busier. If the park's open at night time, then it opens at night time during the summer, and at weekends or later. This ride is good for a different experience, doing it during the day and doing it during the night as well. No single rider on this ride, unfortunately, but it is a good ride. It's worth the wait. So you get your little runaway mine train, as you'll see, that comes into the station there, and on you go, and you get chugged along. You see you're getting thrown about quite a lot. Good views if you've got your eyes open whilst on it. If the paddle steamer is out, then you'll get good views of that, and vice versa. When you're on the paddle steamer, you get good views of the runaway train. So back out again. I'm taking a shortcut. If you go up there and to the right, there's the dragon. It was shut whenever I was there. And back into the most magical part of the park in my eyes. So onto the Mad Hatter's teacups. Seen this at half an hour. Generally it's a walk on. It's teacups. It's the joke of the worst ride in the park. I quite like it. Spin it around. Good fun. Quiet usually. And that's it really. Teacups. Off we go. On to something else. So up here, Casey Jr. From the Dumbo ride. It is usually a walk-on. Have seen it at 20 minutes. I have also seen it at 20 minutes when it's been a walk-on, so I don't think they update the times very much. So Casey Jr. from the movie Dumbo, he's a train that transports Dumbo about, and you're spinning around the little boat ride which we're about to go on as well. Quite good for younger children. So well, I've never been on this ride before, but I decided to go on it for this one. I've seen it generally at 5 minutes. I've no idea why it took so long to get on this occasion, but it did. Again, it's a chill out ride. It's maybe one just to calm everybody down if they've been enjoying the rides. So went on. Obviously you can see the generally younger children that go on it. Just going about on this little boat, and it's showing you all of the, not all of them, but most of the castles from the Disney worlds. No drops, no nothing, no speeds, just chill. So you can see the sun's beginning to set. It was March, so I think this was about 3:30 in the day, and into the Alice in Wonderland maze. This is rubbish. It's themed in Alice in Wonderland. You walk your way through. I've never seen a queue in this ever, because nobody really wants to go in it. But best views in the park are from the tower. So once we work our way through this maze, and I'm trying to do it as quick as I possibly can. There is obviously some theming about from the movie Alice in Wonderland, the Disney movie Alice in Wonderland, from the book by Lewis Carroll. Once we get up and through all of this maze, there is a tower, and here's a tower. And up we go, up the steps. Quite tight steps. Lots of people up here. There is a queue to get to the watch bit, but as you can see, maybe just about, views are fantastic from the top of the tower. And then getting back down is a bit of a struggle as well. But once you're down, and you're back out again. Lancelots Carousel. The music that you'll hear as you get closer to it, it is like carnival style remakes of Disney classic songs. Really, really nice. And if I could have found a CD to buy of those, of the music, I would have, but I don't think there was one for sale, so I didn't. I'd never been on this before. It's a carousel. Not really much to say about it. Gold leaf apparently is used on the carousel. Obviously it looks lovely. It is huge, but it's a carousel. High capacity. Again, I don't know why it was. I timed it wrong for it. Usually it's 5 minutes. Most I've seen is 20 minutes. I think this was about 10 minutes to get on. big horses, little horses, carriages. The big horses have a strap to strap on. But yeah, up and down carousel. So one of the classic Disney rides, Small World, wasn't open whenever I was there, which is a shame. Again, another one of my favourites. It's the song that goes with it. It gets into your brain. Shut whenever I was there. I've never seen that any longer than 5 minutes. So I presume in school halls it would be a little bit longer, but it's again high capacity ride, so there's not too much need for me to have to be on that to show that you could have been on every single ride in both the parks in a day. Getting close to the end now. Went on to Autopia. This had been shut for a few years, and this is the first time that I had been on it. Go-karts that are on rails. It's boring in my eyes, but for little people they get to drive a car if they can reach the pedals, so in that sense I suppose it is quite fun. I think they're petrol or diesel cars. They sound like it. Maybe it's just part of the trickery, but they are quite good, and I think it's supposed to be showing the cars of the future, which, well, they are quite nice looking cars. Maybe not quite from the future. Always seems to be quite popular. About 20 minutes to 40 minutes generally. Again, high capacity, but I suppose it depends on how quickly the car ahead of you is driving, because you're all on tracks, you're on rails, so you can't overtake when you're on it. And quite a big track as well. See all the cars coming through now. They pile them up, I think, when they're needing refilled, and it takes a wee bit of time to get into the cars, which is why the queue probably is a bit longer than what it should be. It doesn't seem to be all that efficient getting in and out of the cars. Here we go, in the car. Not much you can do. Spin the wheel, put your foot down, and drive along the rails. And try not to crash on the rails. I was doing quite well initially, then I got a bit bored, and I crashed a few times. And then there's a big queue, as we see here at the end of the ride, just getting people on and off the cars. So near the end of the day, things are just beginning to shut down, and we're just going to go straight across to one of, if not my favourite rides. Not a massive Star Wars fan. I like the new stuff that's come out. The originals, not a huge fan. Really, really well themed as we're walking through here. This is Star Tours, and it's a 4D, I suppose, ride, in that you get your glasses on for the 3D screen. And you go in a little space tourer that's driven, unfortunately, by C-3PO, and lots of different movies and intersections can be selected on it, so you generally don't get the same experience twice. I've been on it maybe 10 to 15 times, and I have had the same experience once or twice, but generally it's something new each time you go on it. Just battling some of the more classic scenes from Star Wars. Really like it. And general wait times, 5 to 20 minutes. And the reason I've left this ride to last today, not because it is one of my favourites all in, it's generally because it was 45 minutes. And of course out through the gift shop as usual. And that's almost the end of the day. I had one more go in Hyperspace Mountain just because I could, and it was there, and also just to signify that if we still have to do Small World, so it would be a much shorter wait time than this. And that's Nautilus, which is a walkthrough. Awful. It's classed as a ride. It's a walkthrough diorama of a submarine. It was Jules Verne's submarine from 50,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So I'd got up here. I was all happy that I managed to slip in before the rides all shut, and there was a little blockage there, and she was on her radio, and I thought, oh no, we've missed it. But they were letting the priority pass people through. They'd paid for their slot time to get on this ride, but eventually she did let us through, and I got one final go of the day on Hyperspace Mountain. On Hyperspace Mountain, when you start, if you look out to the left, you get good views of the park for about a second as you get fired off into the start of the ride. But that's it. Again, don't really want me to filming on this ride, so I've zipped myself up, and really just to conclude, I will come off the ride, unzip myself as we walk round. I was going to go get a nice place for the illuminations and the 30th anniversary celebrations which were going on for the day. There we go, off the ride, and that's me just walking back around again, and that's every single ride in both parks done in a day. Wasn't that much fun, but it was done.